Now I'm going to tell you about the Nazi and his Germany. So what is Nazi? Nazi is basically a political party and who follows the ideology of Nazism. So there is a political party who follows the ideology of Nazism, and Nazi is basically a group of people. Now these group believed that they are superior of all the other groups. No, basically whenever there is a word ISM after end of any word, then that means that particular word is an ideology. For example, communism, socialism, and Nazism. So this was also an ideology. This was also a belief. This was a structure of idea about the world and politics. This was a system. By system, I mean in this system, Nazis were told that they are the superior of all the groups of people. And Germany, and what actually Hitler wanted to do was he wanted to conquer the whole world. He wanted to make Germany a superpower, and because of this, he performed all those atrocities which we hear in day-to-day life. Now, in 1945, Germany, the Hitler of Germany committed suicide because he surrendered to the Allied powers. Now, who are the Allied powers? This thing we're going to discuss later on. But for the time being, just understand that this was a group of people who won who won the Second World War. So Hitler committed suicide in Berlin bunker along with his propaganda minister, who is Goebbels. Now, who is a propaganda minister? Propaganda minister is basically was the one who admired Hitler and who told about his plans to the whole world. So propaganda is a word which we use in our day-to-day life, and here also the word means same. He actually told everyone about the whole Germany and the whole world about the Hitler's plan and the Nazis' plan, and he was the one who spreaded the news, and he convinced people he admired about Nazis and Hitler and did all those things. So Hitler, his propaganda minister, and his whole family and his propaganda minister committed suicide in the Berlin bunker in the year 1945. So that's all happened. Now Nazis killed many people. Because of that, they did crime against peace, humanity, and the war crimes that they did. So because of that, international military tribunal was set up at Nuremberg by the Allied powers. So they set up a international military tribunal to execute the Nazis war criminal to give them punishment. Now, Nazis killed around 200,000 gypsies, around 6 million Jews, and they killed around 1 million Polish civilians and 70,000 Germans. Why would they kill Germans? They killed Germans because they told all the people of Germany that they killed Germans who were handicapped or the opposition leaders. So Nazi party killed all those Germans. Now by handicapped, now why would they kill handicap? Because they thought that they are no use to the country, and they told them that you die this time, and then in the next birth you're going to take birth in Germany, and then you're going to be of some use to Germany. So because of that, they killed all those handicapped person. And then when we talked about they basically killed opposition parties because they opposed them and they didn't like them. Because of that, they killed them. So that's all. That's the number of people they killed. So basically, they killed people in huge numbers, and because of that, because of the crime that they committed against the humanity, they gathered. People around the world started condemning them. They started criticizing them, and they got a worldwide condemnation because of these crimes which they did. Now, 11 leading Nazis were prosecuted, were killed, and many of them were imprisoned for life because by the tribunal which was set up. So that was the thing which was happening in Germany at that time. So this was basically, we can say that the punishment was not that harsh. Now Germany, the Allied power didn't wanted to give harsh punishment to the Axis power because of the reason that they thought that there is no reason of punishing them. They have not committed any crime. The people of the country have not committed any crime. So why should they be punished for the crime which these people did? So all those people who were involved in it were punished, but there was not the punishment which was given to them was not that harsh. So that's what we're trying to say here. Now, after discussing about this thing, we now everyone in Germany started feeling that the same condition as First World War will be set up. Now, what happened in the First World War? This thing we are going to discuss later on. The First World War actually started with Germany. Germany was hoping to gain a quick victory, and Germany, along with Austria, fought against the Allied powers. In the Allied powers came England, France, and Russia. So these were the three countries which came in allied power initially. Later on, many countries joined these two groups, hoping to gain a quick victory. But later they realized that the war would stretch on, and all the resources that Europe has would be drained. Basically, Europe will be left with no resources, and the countries of Europe will turn into debt. I mean, will have a lot of debt on them. So, from a country of creditors, it is going to turn into a country of debtors. So that's thing which is going to happen. So that's what they all thought, and that's what happened. So Germany made it an initial victory and they captured France and Belgium. But later on in 1917, US also joined the Allied powers, and because of that, they defeated Germany, and they made the US made it Allied powers win this whole battle. So because of that, US won the First World War, which happened from 1914 to 1918. So because of the US entry, the World War ended and Germany was defeated. So that's all about the US win and Germany defeat. Now I'm going to tell you about the thing which happened after the World War One. So after the World War One, the emperor of the Germany, the king, abdicated. So he was no longer a king. He resigned, and then the parties that were there, the political parties in Germany, decided to form a new type of parliament and a new type of constitution and a new type of government. So they started. So in Weimar, they met and they formed a Weimar Republic. Now, basically, Weimar Republic, it was a political party, and who won the elections. And so Weimar Republic is just like a party, and the parliament they named was Reichstag. So Reichstag was a parliament of Germany at that time, and the political party which got the majority was the Weimar Republic. So they met there, and then they formed the parliament, and they drafted the constitution, and all these things happened. The constitution which they made it was a democratic one. So now Germany was a democracy, and uh, but and they adopted the federal structure. Now, what is the meaning of federal structure? Like in India, we have a state, like there's central government, then comes the state, and then comes the district. So there's a distribution of power. The power is not concentrated in one's hand. So that they did the same. They distributed the powers, right? So that thing which happened in Germany at that time. Now after the distribution of power, they made it a parliament, and then everyone was elected to that parliament, and the leading party of the parliament was Weimar Republic. So that's what I have told you. And everyone was like, the principle of universal adult franchise was followed. They were democrats, right? So on the basis of equal and universal vote, everyone was given equal vote, and there was a universal vote. Everyone was given the right to vote. There was universal adult franchise. Even the women were given the right to vote, and then they elected the parliament. Now there was a treaty signed at Versailles. So where is Versailles? Versailles is a place in France. So at France there was a treaty signed, and the Allied power signed a treaty with Germany. And according to this treaty, the France will have to give some land. Like there was Germany lost 26% of its coal and 75% of its iron. Then they lost 13% of its territory, and then they lost its overseas colonies and one tenth of the population to France, Denmark, Poland, and Lithuania. So these are the countries who were given these things. Now, the resource-rich Rhineland, who was a leading industrial hub, was also captured by the Allied powers, and for the much of the 1920s. So for the 1920s, it was with them. So this was all about the capturing of the territories and resources by the Allied powers. Now, the France people were very angry on these on the Weimar Republic, because of the reason that they felt that the Weimar Republic is very much coward and they can't do anything. They don't have power. People don't listen to them. They don't have that much of effectiveness. They can't influence the people. So that's what they thought. That's what the people thought. And so they didn't only held them responsible for the defeat at the war, but they also held them responsible for the thing which happened, all those things which happened at Versailles. So that's all about this treaty. Now there were some who supported the Weimar Republic because they thought that they hadn't did anything wrong, and the sins of the old empire. They were forced to. So all those people who supported the Weimar Republic, mainly the Socialist Catholic and the Democrats, were thought that these people, the people of the Weimar Republic, were forced to pay the sin of the old empire. So they haven't did anything wrong, and they should not be punished for this thing. And all those people by some people, all those people were being called the November criminals. So they were considered November criminals because the treaty was eventually signed at November at Versailles. So because of that, they were called the November criminals and not the criminals of any other month. So that's all about November criminals. Now, what? How was the trench life? So media glorified the trench life. They said that it's very much beautiful. Right, the life is not like that much miserable, but in reality, the life was very much miserable. They were soldiers were. Poisoned by the many gases, like there were many gases which were released in the trenches, and then there was the rats which feeded on the dead corpses, the dead bodies of human being, and then there was the enemies selling. So because of that, they actually glorified the trench life so that they can tell the people that it's good and you should join the army. And the military men were put above the civilians, so they were considered more respectful than the civilians of the country. This was all about the first part of the video.